Hey everyone, Justin here for S&S Archery. In today's gear video, we're going to show you how to set up your axis adjustments on the UV slider, the complete sight from Ultraview. All right guys, getting started in today's gear video. One of the most important things you can do before you start shooting your new sight, making a bunch of adjustments, and especially before you get into your sight tape process, is you want to make sure that your first, second, third axis adjustment is leveled up and correct. So this is very easy to set up yourself. If you have some kind of bow vise, it's ideal. If you don't, you could use a partner, hold your bow on a straight line somewhere in your house. Ultimately, we always recommend doing most of the work yourself. So a bow vise, something like that, is a good investment. But like I said, very easy to set this up. It's one of those crucial steps. If you don't set this up correctly, if you get into shooting steep angles, you can drift left and right, and ultimately even on flat ground if you don't have your first or second axis set up. So very important we get this set up. And like I said, today we are focused on the UV slider, a new sight from Ultraview. Just like all the other sights that we sell here at S&S, very easy to set up. So we're going to run you through the process. First thing, before I get into the axis adjustments, I just want to make sure that the scope housing is lined up with the correct peep size. I want to be able to slide my dovetail in or out. If you have a Picatinny mount, something on the front of your riser that is fixed so you're unable to move that distance, so you may have to upsize or downsize your peep, but here I'm able to slide with the bridge lock compatible dovetail, slide the dovetail in or out to really get the correct amount of line alignment between my scope housing and my peep. So that is step one. Now step two is leveling up our bow and getting ready for our first, second axis adjustment. So on the Ultraview, first axis adjustment is basically the scope housing installed on the actual rail. So per factory, per their company, they're guaranteeing that the first axis is set on the rail system. So we're only worrying about the second and third axis adjustment on this particular sight. So that makes it a lot easier. We can go off our bubble level. We don't have to add an additional level on the rail to check that second axis. So very, very simple. The only tool you're going to need is some kind of level to either level up your riser or your string on your bow. So first step, just make sure your bow is nice and level. I've already got mine set up. It is 100% level. So now I can look up and see that my bubble level is way off. I need to make an adjustment. So you're going to see on the side of this yaw block, first and second axis, this is our micro adjustment screw. Then you're also going to see third axis adjustment. So right now we're just concerned with the angle of our rail. We want to make sure it's leveled up with our actual riser of our bow or our string. So the first thing we can do is this bottom screw, we just loosen it just ever so slightly in the yaw block. And then up top, we have another screw, same position. Loosen up that and you can see it moved. So we have all of our adjustment now. So where you can see is most of the pivot happens at the top end. The bottom stays pretty much the same. So what I'd like to do is just snug up that bottom just slightly. And now I'm just looking to make the adjustment on the rail to where my bubble level is trued up with the bubble on my string. So now I can just start turning in that micro adjust screw until the bubble comes to center. And once I got it really close, I'm going to go ahead and tighten up that upper screw. And just make sure that it stays centered up. I'm going to go ahead and tighten up both of them. All right, so now that we have our second axis leveled up, before I jump into that third axis, I'm just going to go back and re-verify that my bow stayed true, it's nice and level, and that the level on the housing is still perfect. So definitely want to do that before you move on to that third axis adjustment. So everything looks good, leveled on the scope, leveled on the string. So we can move on to our third axis adjustment now. All right, so now we are ready to check our third axis adjustment. So where this comes in, very crucial. Like I said earlier, shooting steep angles, uphill, downhill. If you don't have the right pitch or lean in your scope housing, as you're at full draw, your second axis can be perfect and you'd be nice and level, but as you drop to say 45 degrees, your bubble is going to drift on you. So it's very important that we have just the right amount of lean on the actual scope housing. So to do this, I've hung a piece of paracord, grab an arrow, release. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically come to full draw, have my bow nice and level. I'm going to work down to about 45 degrees, and I'm going to take my 3 pins in my housing, and I'm going to keep the pins on that string, and then I'm going to glance up at my bubble. If my bubble has drifted at all, I know I need to make an adjustment. So like I said, full draw, leveled up. Come down that string, keep my pins on that line, and it's way off, so I need to make an adjustment. Okay, so our third axis adjustment, what I need to do is loosen up both these screws just a little bit. Now I'm just going to start moving in the micro adjustment. Now you're just guessing at this point. There's no reference to how far you should go. I was way off, so I'm going to go ahead and try that. I'm just going to snug these up. I'm not shooting or anything, so don't have to get them super tight. I'll go back to that string, pull back, and do the same thing. Go down to that 45, put the pins on that string. And I'm really close. I just need to make a slight adjustment, just a little bit more. All right, it's good and set, nice and level. It may take a few times to get it set, but just keep tinkering with that screw, that micro adjustment, and you will get it dialed. All right, so you guys can see just how easy it is to set up your second and third axis adjustment on the UV slider. Now just remember, your first axis adjustment is already set from the factory, which is the scope housing up to the rail. So very nice, that's done for you. If you have different bases, so whether you went with the side mount or the Picatinny mount, the screws on the yaw block and the micro adjustment screws to make those adjustments, they're in the same spot, so very easy. The hardest part of the whole process is if you don't have a bow vise, something that holds your bow in place so you can work on it. But really, we're on to the next point, which is the sight-in process. If you guys want to check that video out, I'll go ahead and put a link right here, step by step on how to sight in the new UV slider. But for more information on Ultraview or any of the videos that we've done in the past, please feel free to give us a call, shoot us an email. We'd be glad to help, and thanks for watching.